Welcome, welcome back to another episode of the Lightdrop podcast, where it's just two friends talking creativity and beyond. My name's Jamil.
And my name is Jeff.
Jeff.
What's up, Jamil? I know you got some heat for me.
I got some heat for you because
Yeah.
new experience. We had a guest on last couple weeks. Great guests. And definitely listen to those episodes if you haven't yet. But in the meantime, or rather, in the past time, what was also going on, I went glamping, Jeff. I told you about this only a little bit, but
I don't think I've heard that word that much, but
glamping.
I appreciate what glamping is. So
What a
glamping,
wonderful time to be alive.
glamping, for those who don't know, is when you go camping, but it's better, right, Jamil?
Essentially, camping for people who don't camp. for people from New Jersey like myself who don't touch grass like that often. But we live in an era now where, like I said, what a wonderful time to be alive. There's these cabins. You can almost think of it like a resort.
Yeah.
But instead of a resort, this company is called Getaway House. They bought this land at different national parks and places around the country. And instead of it being a hotel with pools and resorts and all that, it's just a series of little mini cabins just scattered around the national park. And so you've got bathroom, you got hot water, you got electricity and a bed and AC. So it's
all the essentials.
all the essentials, right? But other than that, you got a fire pit out front.
That's
and
nice.
and a little table, and you're just secluded in nature, in the forest, in the woods. And
I was gonna say, this one is different. It's special because it's like they encourage kind of disconnecting from your phones or whatever. Is that?
yeah, that's the whole. Yeah, I mean, the company is called Getaway, and that's kind of how they market it. Is the one that we went to was a few hours outside of DC, and so I think you can even get a package to where you kind of go a couple times a month just to get away, right? Drive out there on the weekends and literally just, I mean, there's nothing to do. You're in the woods, you're camping, but comfortably, right? And so all that to say, this is my first time experiencing this. I've been looking forward to it for a while, and it was nice, man. It was very interesting to just be quiet for that extended period of time, and realizing how easy it is to be quiet when that's all there is, right? It's there wasn't anything for me to do once I was there. There was nothing for me to do except to just blend in and detach and just relax my mind and bringing that back to full speed, to our full speed lives.
Yeah.
It's this thing where you really have, like we've been talking about, this thing that now I have this experience, this memory of being just quiet and integrated with nature. And so when I deviate from that more and more and more, it's much easier to remember that experience. Man, I want to go back there. I don't necessarily need to drive all the way up there. I can still get back there right here, in my brain, in my mind. But Yeah, I definitely recommend glamping. Glamping for anyone, like I said, wonderful time to be alive, right? That we can
Yeah,
on a
you can go
regular.
outside. You can you can enjoy nature. It's I think about that so much. Where I remember, obviously we mostly in the United States, I would say we have the luxury of being able to separate ourselves from nature, but to purposely go back, uh, it's always it's always a feat. But the glamping sounds like it's much more fun because I'm not one of those people either that's like, hey, let me go into the woods with a stick and like
That's
something
why
to
I'm
go to.
laughing. That's why I'm laughing is because you said, right, we have the privilege in this country to where, we pay good money to,
Yeah.
uh, to go spend the weekend in the
Yeah. But it's nicer. It's nicer though.
Yeah,
It's nicer like um to kind of break things apart. I think that's the big takeaway. It's like it's not even that the things that you are experiencing it's not like you can't experience quietness in your home. It's like, I have a backyard so I can go outside. But uh I think just separating yourself from like the norm of, waking up in the same place, you go outside and you're in the you're pretty much in the city or wherever you're living at. Um, that's what I feel like I would get the most out of the glamping experience. Whenever I go out to the Blue Ridge Mountains, I kind of get to quiet down in that way where I'll see around and I'll just be like, I'm actually I'm in the woods. We in this thing,
we out
so
here, and we were
we out here.
we were in the woods because
Yeah.
I've talked about a little nature trail that's in my area, just kind of a public park type of thing where they've got
Hmm.
a paved path, but it weaves through the woods and everything, and it's nice. And you're very much still aware, though, highway is like 100 yards that way, and
Yeah.
and if I just
Not
keep
too far.
going along the path, right, it's
Yeah.
it's there's still that, right? It's still nice, but there's still that paved path, right?
Hmm.
Whereas this, they had a nature trail here. You're in the woods and you know it. And it's very interesting because um what is that saying? Everything, or it was the movie, which I saw, by the way. You told me about this a couple
Everything
episodes. Yeah, everything
all at once.
everywhere all at
Wait, you
once.
hadn't seen that movie yet?
No, I remember a couple
Oh,
episodes though. You asked me if I had seen it, and I
tragic.
didn't, but I watched it since then.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But it was like that to where you're in the woods and it's quiet and there's absolutely nobody around, but you're still aware that everything that we left behind is still there right now, right this very second, happening. New
Hmm.
York City and all the hustle and bustle there, just everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah,
And here I am, literally no one else around me. Right? It was just weird. It was just a very mind. It was very easy to be mindful
yeah.
there.
It. I would say it's definitely. I think for me, the most interesting thing to realize is that it feels uncomfortable at first, realizing that you're kind of alone. Like imagine like you're in the woods and then you walk around, you look around, you're like, oh shoot, there's no one near me. I could literally disappear right now, and no one would even know. And that's the feeling that I get when I'm in the woods. But I kind of like it. I like to be reminded that I'm just a part of this, this kind of like this machine, that the world just works this way. And, but outside of that, I'm still my own person that can go out and explore. And I feel that being outside in nature in that way, where you realize how large everything is, you look around and you're like, there's, you couldn't walk. I could walk, for an hour that way and still be lost. And for some reason, I like that feeling. I like
I,
being that submerged.
that uncomfortableness that you mentioned is interesting too because it's a tangible one. I'm unfamiliar with being in the woods, like this. I'm just a dude from Atlanta, right?
That's me.
I'm just a guy from South Jersey, but there's also that comparison also to your mind. I think
Yeah.
that people get really uncomfortable when their minds quiet down a lot. It's it's feeling like, man, I need to be thinking about something.
Hmm.
I need to be doing something. It's unfamiliar and it can be uncomfortable. And I think that through practicing that, because that's literally what it is. And this weekend, this getaway house glamping weekend was how I viewed it, was practice quieting down. You get more and more comfortable with being still and being silent,
Mm.
and is nice because then you become much more aware when the opposite is going on, and you're like, man, I want to get back there, man. This
Yeah.
I like hanging. I much prefer to hang out there in the
And
stillness.
in that zone. Let me ask you.
Mhm.
So, I'm the type of person when I go to a camping trip like this, I'll bring like a journal or a yoga mat or something that I'm like, this is what people do when they're trying to reconnect with themselves, like spiritually, mentally, whatever it is. Do you do anything like that, or you bring something when you're
Uh,
going into the woods specifically, or you're trying to relax?
um, well, we were there for 2 nights,
Mm,
and so my thinking going into it was, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do that, right? Like my plan is to do nothing, and
mm,
to be comfortable doing nothing. You know,
mm,
I think that when we go really long working or working on a task and we don't have time to exercise or play sports or do yoga and things like that, read the book that we've been reading, right? um it's nice, of course, to have that free time to then pick it back up, but you're still doing something, and you're still kind of in that headspace of thinking about something and doing something. And
yeah,
so I approach this weekend very much of, I want to practice getting comfortable with doing nothing and just allowing myself to just literally be and be and just like
yeah.
allow my mind to quiet down, because that's naturally what our minds want to do, just like our muscles, is just relax.
Just take a
um
breath. Yeah,
yeah, and it was cool because you're in the woods like that, nobody around. You hear it's loud, like during the in the early morning, all the birds,
yeah.
and all I was doing literally was I was just kind of sitting outside on this. It wasn't a step, but like I said, we had like a little fire pit with some chairs around there. I was just sitting out on the chairs and just listening to, that was all there was to do. Listen to the birds and the noises, and just paying attention to those. And um over the course of the day, you see how in the morning it's very lively and birds are awake and chirping and singing,
Hmm.
and then towards the evening it starts to quiet down, and it starts to, like, you really feel that day turning to night vibe that happens with the animals, and you start
Hmm.
hearing the owls. I saw an owl, by the way, for the first time. You hear them
Yeah,
all the time, but you never see them. I actually saw one, which was nice.
they. I don't know if this is true. I really hope this is fake, but apparently owls have human ears. But
Huh?
this is a total detour. Um, I'm like breaking your focus. I saw this video. Somebody just revealed some owl. It had like small human ears. But back to the subject, anyways. Uh,
You have to send me this video.
I'll send you the video.
I
There's
didn't see
there's so
human ears
many
on this one.
there's so many stupid things that I will find, and it'll just stay in my brain for like a week. So this is one of those things that just stuck with me. Um, but no, it sounds like sounds like you had a good time glamping. What was the um what was I gonna say? So y'all just you just got there and then you just
Yeah, like I said,
sat around, yeah.
um, I think well, I think I know what you were gonna ask is, um, I just think that this whole experience that I had, the reason I brought it up was because we just been talking about this stuff for the last several episodes,
Hmm.
and I treated this very much like training, you know,
Mm,
like it wasn't like I just made the reservation for the room and oh we're going here kind of thing. Like I was thinking I want to practice what we've been talking about. Quieting down, finding, just finding a place. I want to go somewhere where it's easy
hmm.
to to just quiet down. And same way that if you were trying to get stronger biceps, where's a place I could do that? The gym, you know? I'll
Hmm.
go to the gym. So I treated it like that. I treated it like a training ground for relaxing my brain and my thoughts and getting better at being comfortable with being quiet. So,
Listening
uh,
to I was
yeah.
gonna say listening to the whispers of life.
Mm,
Was that what I think that was kind of like a Rick Rubin plus
yeah,
I
it
think I
was. It
paraphrased,
said
but listening to the whisper of
it was
just being
ideas.
outside. Yeah, of
Those
ideas,
ideas are tiny whispers,
tiny whispers, yes.
um,
And
that
I
you
was
got
gonna
to be
say
quiet to hear.
I heard another quote that I wanted to share with you last episode, the one with Taylor, but I think that we just wanted to hear Taylor talk, so I was like, let me just shut up. But I think it's relevant in this case. I heard it from Tim Ferriss, but I think it's from someone else. But the quote is that you should be suspicious of your thoughts. And it's been something I've been thinking about for a while. I'm like, oh, that person in
Vicious.
there, suspicious, like
Who was
that
that?
Jeff. Yeah,
Who's in there?
who said that? Who was that? Imagine being that suspicious. It's like you recommend, you're like, I want a burger. You're like, who said that?
Yeah.
Who actually
You,
wants that?
who wants this?
Should I
Do
tell
I
you?
do I really want this? I mean,
Yeah,
that's probably true though. Is people that's
yeah,
what isn't that what overthinking is?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean that
Is
imposter syndrome goes back to it. It's like, you know, that person inside your head might not always be your friend. Um, but
maybe it's not
I,
a good quote.
maybe that's not a good quote.
Yeah, maybe it's
What?
not a good quote. Maybe being suspicious. I'm
No,
just throwing that out there. I don't I'm just maybe.
we're doing a debatable right now, bro. No, no, no. I get that. I mean,
Don't be
I
suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
I like that quote because it just makes me kind of doubt my own habits, like the things that I automatically do, um, the tunnel vision that I'm in, or the silly game that I'm playing. That's another thing I heard a few days
Of course,
ago, which is
it's
nice.
it's
What's the
probably
silly game you're playing?
it's probably being suspicious of maybe like to refine it is to be suspicious of whether or not it was a thought from your past self
Hmm.
or a thought from the you that knows where you are and where you want to go, like thoughts are or rather habits and thoughts, they're kind of one and the same, and I think I saw a statistic or a metric recently, and I'm paraphrasing this too. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a big number, like 60,000 or something like that, thoughts that we think over the course of the day.
Mm.
And something like 90% of them are the same as the previous day that we thought. And so our thoughts are habits. We think about things as a habit. And so
Mm.
if you're trying to change something about what you've been doing, or you're not pleased with whatever situation you may be in, whether it be work or relationships or whatever, and you want to get out of that, then you want to be thinking thoughts that are not just replaying the tune of what's old news,
Mm,
because the essentially what is old news, you know? And
yeah.
so if you wanna transform and go in a different direction, then yeah, being suspicious of your thoughts is like a good way to constantly pivot them to say, "Oh,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
that's from my old that's an old thought. I don't wanna do that one. I wanna think of a different one."
Yeah. That that I think it could be helpful now that you mention it for somebody who is, like you said, trying to change pretty quickly, or maybe they're just somebody who's like, like I need to be aware, I need to be focused right now, so things need to be changed. Maybe they're at a conference or something, or they have to do a talk or whatever. Um, but no, I definitely I enjoy that quote for so many reasons. I think it keeps me on my toes.
Keeps you
Um,
suspicious.
keeps me suspicious, looking around like, why did I do these things? No, no, it's
Who's there?
just screaming. Ah, who said that?
Oh, man. Yeah, I would, no, back to the glamping, I would definitely recommend it. It's
Yeah,
a and they're not sponsoring this episode or anything like that, so this is a
but they should.
genuine, hey,
They should. Yeah. Hey.
reach out. But for the
Yeah.
time being
Yeah.
this is just a Jamil plug. Getaway house, getaway dot house in your web browser. I believe they have them all over the country. It's just really easy, a really easy way if you're not someone who's inclined, like many of us, to be out in the woods,
Hmm.
right, with no provisions, just so that you can practice quieting down, like Jamil did. Like no one's gonna learn how to go to REI and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on canteens, and I don't know the equipment, but
The shoes. It's a lot. It's a lot. I have
yeah,
some hiking shoes, and I'm like, damn. Like, I mean, it makes sense because it's like you
yeah,
want good, decent stuff, but it's
yeah,
I'd rather.
and bug spray and
Yeah.
you know kerosene heaters, right? I had a
Mm.
remote control that turned the heat up
Uh,
or down, so so that was nice,
weird flex, but I
right?
love it.
Those were
I love
those
it.
were the amenities provided, but
Yeah.
it was still didn't take away from anything though, because it was, you know,
Yeah.
there was no TV, there was no, right. I put my phone away, put my phone on do not disturb. I was very deliberate and like, okay, I'm gonna do nothing for these next 2 days because there's
Yeah.
nothing here to do, and that's totally fine, you know.
Yeah. Getting past that awkwardness, that first initial awkwardness. I remember when we were in Mexico and you specifically said like, "Hey, if we're gonna go to Mexico, you should stay there for a week." And when my wife and I, we were the first 2 days were rough because we were like, everything is so overwhelmingly nice that we want to do everything, but we're still in the same track where we're like, oh, we gotta. I think I even brought my computer or something. I was like, oh, we still got to do stuff. And then it took like 2 days for us to even just like our bodies to relax. So I definitely get that. I think when if you're not careful, you will kind of lose a vacation by doing too many things. So
Everybody's had that
yeah,
experience too.
like,
Everybody's been on vacation and had that first 48 hours, 24, 48 hours where they still got to get in vacation mode, especially if just to get to the vacation destination, you
mhm.
had to get on the plane and you had to, maybe get another means of transportation there, get set up at the hotel that you were at, and like by the time you're actually able to wind down, it probably has been like 24, 48 hours that you've been there already, just for your mind to actually decompress.
Yeah. Uh,
So I think
hold on. One sec. Hold on. Who's at the door?
is it Jehovah's Witnesses again? If it is, if it is, I want to see him.
I can't
Bring him in.
see. Hold on. Once might be my neighbor. Traffic
Oh,
light.
who, who are we talking about? I
We
don't
were
even
talking
remember.
about glamping. We were talking about, I don't know, enjoying it. I mean,
Oh,
we
I
could just,
remember what we were talking about. I think, we were talking about being in the woods and how, or no, we were talking about taking a vacation and how it takes like 24 to 48 hours for that vacation headspace to start to kick in, where you start to separate yourself from the
mhm,
hustle and bustle. Like you said, it took you a little bit of time to do, but I
to
think a
do.
lot of
Yeah.
people have had that experience. And I think what's interesting about it is it's the same experience that we have even when we're trying to focus on our work or anything. It's just on a different scale,
Hmm.
because I think it was you a couple episodes mentioned that it takes, what was it, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get into like a flow state.
Yeah. It's like 15, 20 minutes to get back on the,
Yeah, and every
you check your
time,
phone, and then another 20 minutes.
exactly. Yeah,
Close it.
every time
Yeah.
you deviate from that, it breaks your focus. I think that's the same thing, right?
Yep.
And you can practice it and you can see it happening in different ways, and that's a good example. If you've ever meditated, whether that
Mhm.
been sitting down in a chair, being quiet, or even writing something, drawing something, just trying to sit down and just get absorbed in something, it takes a
Yeah.
little bit of time.
Yep.
Um, and so, yeah, that was no different to where, like you said, we got there and I was thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do nothing for these 2 days. But it took maybe a few hours for sure, maybe even like the next morning, until I was kind of settled in and my mind was okay. Let's unwind from the car trip, from the traffic, the tire story. Remember I told you that, that we hit that tire that happened.
The old
I was
tire.
I was pissed. I was pissed off from that when we got there. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is really gonna be good practice
Yeah.
for me to just shake that off and just, you know, relax and veg out. Use
Yeah.
that wind up time.
And I like that you said that you intentionally said that you were going to practice doing nothing, because that's really hard to do, especially when you're for I believe that like vacations, I think I said this a little bit before we got cut off, is that it's hard for people to get into those modes, um, just because they're switching off. So it just takes a little bit longer to even just to do to be almost unproductive, almost. Well,
Mhm.
like you people will still do things. They're like, we need to plan for this next event, we need to go to this restaurant, we need to
Yeah,
um
exactly.
these
When you're on
events.
a
So it's
vacation
like,
like that.
yeah, are you really taking that break? And
Yeah.
it's really hard, and it's even harder for people who like us. We're artists, so it's part of being an artist is constantly creating things. And yeah, sometimes you'll start making things, or you'll start drawing thinking that, oh, this is just, it's a break. But you're thinking about it as if the next president of the United States is depending on this. you know you're like in your head, because you put so much energy into this thing. um so definitely staying away from that. That's something I've been trying to do less of when I go to vacations, even though, um I could bring my sketchbook and try and look outside, and I I'll just get into the mode of feeling like I need to be good at this thing,
You feel
and then
like you have to you feel like, "Oh, okay, I did it. I now I have time to do this." It's
Mhm.
like you you spent the last all this time working and being stressed, and then the first thing you say is before you even give yourself the opportunity to do nothing and unwind, first thing you say is, I mean, how many times have you heard of somebody saying, or even yourself, come back from like a winter break or something, holiday break, and you don't feel rested at all
Mm,
because of the
yeah,
holidays and you're ripping around running.
yeah,
It's tough
family,
because it's the holiday. Yeah, like you said, family
yeah,
and everything. But um, yeah, we do the same things with little planned, like little mini vacations like that, where um, we 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 may not even really be allowing ourselves to fully kind of relax.
yeah.
I
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna talk about obviously deviating because I love to do that. Um, just this,
Hold
the
on, y'all.
idea.
Hold on, y'all. I gotta mention because we will have edited this part out, but but maybe about for the last 40 minutes or so, Jeff was swayed by by a rogue salesman that approached his door.
Yep,
He put the
you got me.
podcast on hold. He was he was swept up by what
What
by what
Mario
he
was
was
saying.
telling.
Mario got me.
Oh
He
man.
upsold me. So if Vivint is listening, give Mario a raise because he just
Yeah.
earned another
He put
dollar.
the podcast on hold to
Yeah,
get sold some home security, but now he's back.
I'm back. What was I even talking about? I completely forgot where I was going with my tangent.
Wait a
Wow,
minute. Wait a minute.
congrats.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I remember you were talking about I was mentioning you were talking about like pivoting or something. Shifting something like that.
Mm.
I'll say what I was going to say. It'll
Say
come
what
back
you
to
were
you.
going to say. It'll come back to me. I'll listen to
It'll
the
come
whisper.
Yeah. I Bro, Mario messed the whole flow up.
Yeah, I should have brought Mario onto the podcast.
But I
Bro,
told
sit
you.
down.
I told you to. All right. So
No, okay,
it,
wait. No, I remember what I
okay,
was
it's
thinking
back.
about. Okay, it's
Look
back.
it up. Look it
Um,
up.
just wanted to share that. Speaking of sales and Mario, recently read the 100 million dollar offer by Alex Hormozy. I think that's his name.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And have you heard about that book?
I It sounds familiar, and I know who you're talking about. I've seen him before.
Yeah. But I'll just quickly mention it. I mean, we were talking about sales a little bit, being coerced. Um, I thought it was a great book, um, because he basically said if you want people to buy things from you, you have to make them an offer that they can't refuse. And he just kept on saying that. And I think Mario offered me an offer that I couldn't refuse. So the past 30 minutes, this man was telling me about all the different things of how my life can be better. And I think as artists, we can kind of learn from that. We can say,
Dive into that.
yeah, let's
How about
dive. You want to dive into to that
let's,
specifically real quick?
let's pivot and figure out. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Um,
I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned here. I
no,
was
this
watching all kinds of YouTube videos, waiting. I went down YouTube rabbit holes.
I thought you
I
were
heard
listening like
indistinct chatter in the background of
yeah,
what I
it sounded like
now know
you were
as
listening to like
Mario
rap
selling me
beef or something like something. Some two people are arguing. I was like, what are you listening to up there? Um, but yes, so the $100 million offer by Alex Hormozy, great book, short. I like the way that he talks about it. And Alex Hormozy, just to give everyone the background, is just he's this YouTube sales like expert. He started this company called Accenture, I believe. That might be the name of the. I might be getting it wrong, but um, he started off selling subscriptions for gym memberships, and he built up this method of giving people offers that they can't refuse, basically editing his offer as he's going through it. So let's say you want to join a gym. Okay, cool. What's the reason why you don't want to join? I don't want to join because I don't have enough time. I'll come to you. So it's like, well, now I don't have an excuse anymore. You just you just kind of took away the one reason why I wouldn't do it. And it was super interesting because we always think about going to people, clients or whatever, asking them, can can you give me a job? Can you give me some money? Can you give me an opportunity? But another way of thinking about it is you are essentially making somebody else's life better. Uh, the offer that you're going to give them is worth 10 times more if it's a good offer. So you can, depending on how you say it, you say this, hey, I'm going to build you a website. No one cares. But if you tell them, I'm going to build you a website that's going to increase your traffic, your income, whatever, by 50%, then it's like, why wouldn't I spend $5,000, $10,000 on a website? It just doesn't, it's the perfect offer. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's just to say, if you're all listening out there, uh, the one thing that might be keeping you from having a lot more freedom in your creative industry, because I definitely have that feeling. I feel like I don't come up with good offers for the clients that I get to work with. Um, you can open up a lot of, you can have a lot more freedom in your work and your creative work. You can enjoy a little bit more, and all you have to do is just change the way you're presenting yourself. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about that is the thing about that is by the time by the time you hear that from someone, um, it's not that it's too late, but it's already changing, you know? His method and so many other books and courses and strategies and, LinkedIn has their content, ghost writing, and it's like they're all still selling something. Like when they're even when they're giving you this advice, they're still trying to sell something to you often.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so the biggest takeaway is to get into his mindset of how he came to finding out what it was that worked for him, you know?
Mm,
So
true.
so it's like when you can read between the lines to really to build that mindset too for yourself to find out what'll work for me and for my audience, my target audience, because that's the only way to get it right, you know. There's a whole bunch of videos about there out there about how to, like you said, increase sales and how to, get more clients and how to integrate this and do this because this is what I did and this, and you all you got to do is do it too kind of thing.
Hmm.
But what you really want to do with those, like I said, is read in between the lines. How did they come to find that strategy for themselves so that I can take that and then apply that to find what'll work for me, because everything is unique. Every audience is kind of unique and every product is unique. And so yeah, that's what'll separate people. I think the concept, like you mentioned, is always the same,
Hmm.
with wanting to have that flexibility. But yeah, I think that's a good point, but also to keep that in mind too.
Yeah. No, I really like the book. I like the way that he explained it, and I've heard about stuff like this before, where they'll talk about kind of building a value proposition with people instead of selling your hours. You just kind of sell the purpose of it. But I also like what you said, that it's not even these techniques that really like. there's always a new technique. There's always something. But definitely figuring out why those things worked at the core level. And I believe also that helps you kind of navigate a little bit more because some of these things are so complicated. When Alex Hermosi was speaking and talking, he was saying all these charts and jargon, and I'm like, how am I supposed to pick that up? I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're
you've
not.
spent 30 years or whatever learning how to
Exactly.
talk that way, and
Exactly.
he's like a white built. I'm pretty sure he wasn't like jacked all the time, but he's a white man that like went out and did his thing, and I'm sure like it works for him, and his aggression with his sales probably works for him really well. Um, but I don't think I wouldn't probably speak the same way just because I'm not him. I don't.
You gotta figure out how to shift it,
Yeah,
how to like take what he's saying and what worked, yeah, and then apply it. Well, not necessarily apply it, but determine and try and grasp that mindset from him on how to build it yourself.
yeah,
You know, because that's it's like I said. By the time it's like trends, right? By the time there's a how to make the popular TikTok video that comes out,
it's too late.
it's already too late.
Yeah,
How do you figure out how do you develop that intuition to be able to just make it yourself, to make the popular
hmm,
one first kind of thing.
yeah,
So it's like it's it still comes on it still comes down to you and
yeah,
your yeah, your abilities and everything.
and I would also think it comes down to your ability to recognize your abilities, and goes back to our first um, glamping conversation about listening to the whispers. So that's also something I've been trying to practice a bit more, and I'd like to do it more intentionally, the way that you did it, where it was like I'm going to this place to practice this thing, put myself in a situation instead of I'm casually thinking about it, or I remember this week maybe I want to try going outside a bit more. Um, but no, no, what I'm saying. Like I want to go for walks.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to go see the sun. you know, shit like that.
Oh man,
I
I've been
want
in
to
my
feel it.
room for 4 weeks straight. I want to practice going outside.
It's like there's a there's a place called
It's called the
outside,
grocery store.
grocery store. There's
Yeah,
something called grass. I
yeah,
can
I
go
know,
touch
right?
it.
I
Um,
mean, we're joking, but you know, there's kids out there who, like you mentioned, they'll go on play dates and they'll go over each other's houses and still bring their iPads and be locked in and
then it's
it's
like, oh
yeah, these are it's only going to get harder and harder. So it's just
yeah,
like anything else that you're going to practice um or get stronger at. Maybe that's a better way to frame
yeah,
it. To get stronger
no,
at it. The same way that you would go to a gym to get more fit, to get your body in better shape.
yeah,
You know, what are these exercises that you can do to do the same for your mind, knowing that the benefits will bring the strengthening of your mind that'll come from being able to quiet it down
mm,
and to focus it on one thing, right? That was the other thing that I practiced while I was out there alone in the woods.
we
was
weren't alone. There were other people.
was was trying to keep my keep my focus there also. It was
Hmm.
I mean, it's one and the same, but still it was, I don't want to be out here and thinking about what I'm gonna do when I get back
Yeah,
or XYZ. It's, you know, because I know how beneficial it is when I'm working to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna spend the next hour on this, and I'm not gonna reach for my phone. I'm not gonna pull up this tab just because I thought of something else that I needed to do, or a bill that I needed to pay. Oh, let me do that real quick. Like, it's so easy for our minds to get distracted on all these different things, but it's the same thing. How can I strengthen my focus to be able
Yeah.
to get into that zone like we were talking about? It takes what, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
25 minutes, and every time you deviate,
A
it
long
resets
time.
the timer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can I get it? How can I get there at will? Practice it.
Yeah. And that what I was gonna say, I remember now, right before Mario joined the podcast, um, I was gonna talk about my boy Leonardo da Vinci
Here we
because
go.
he
Here we go.
that's my dog.
Here we go.
Yeah. He had an exercise like that where he basically, I mean, I don't know if he was doing this because he was trying to be a better artist or he was genuinely, I'd like to think he was genuinely interested in looking at how things moved around the world. But he kind of practiced that active meditation of kind of listening, observing a lot, looking at things, and just, and it, everyone can do that. Everyone can be that, that good at being focused. And if you think about it, that's what we, as humans, we kind of get rewarded for that when you have this ability to stay focused on one thing. I mean, if you think about it, it's like it's just a fleeting skill. Like no one can do it as well. There are people who can do it really well, and there are people who struggle like horribly. So in the future, I think that's definitely going to be a very valuable skill to be able to. And we've even talked about some of those other valuable skills, being able to communicate, being having that confidence, public speaking, all these things. Focus is one of those things that you want to develop for the next, well, for the rest of your life, honestly, because that's how long it's going
Era.
to take. Yeah,
And not only
yeah,
that, so you can pass it down,
yeah.
right?
That's true.
To all the 5, 6, 7 year olds that are walking around with their iPads glued
Yeah,
to their faces,
yeah.
you know,
You can grab
who's
it
going
from
to
the
teach
video.
them focus?
Look at where we
Look
are.
around.
Look around. You
Look
see that?
around. That's
They're like,
called the
whoa.
sky.
Yeah. No, no. I think we're coming up on time here.
Very, 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 a very, what's the word I'm trying to find? Yin and yang kind of episode.
Yeah,
We're talking about staying present in the moment, and then
my
and
boy
then we have
pulled
a
up.
detour mid
Yeah,
episode,
we
and
try
then
and
we
come
come
back
back. You guys are watching in real time us trying
yeah,
to implement these things.
to stay focused.
So, so an erratic episode, we're practicing. We'll,
Yeah,
we're, we, you know,
we in there. I think we're definitely, as you all can hear, we're as we're working through all this, we're learning with y'all. Jamil and I talk about that a lot off the camera. We're also learning how to focus. So if you are having a challenging time doing it, just know that these two weirdos are with you. We're also working through it piece by piece. And yeah, just to summarize the episode a little bit, definitely getting out and glamping sounds like Jamil, you had a great time.
definitely would
I
recommend it.
Yeah, I definitely want to go glamping soon because when I went camping, I did not enjoy it. I don't think I've been camping since that. So I'd like to go outside again,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, the power of getting time to focus, getting time to realign yourself after such a busy week, especially because I think this week was definitely hard for me. I need to be out in nature and take some days
Yeah.
off because I think it was just a lot of, it's a
Getaway
busy
dot
work
house.
week. You said what?
Getaway dot house.
Getaway
Free
house.
plug.
No.
They get a free plug from us.
We need to get a subscription. What's it called? URLs or whatever, like light work.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, we'll work on
We're
it.
working on it.
They got to pay us up front.
Anyways, yeah, I
Losing
think that's
all
the pod.
sponsors. Oh man, that's a pod. That's a pod.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.